when you're entering sentences rather than opening a pre-existing Fitch file, and you want to enter a goal, you will just under the goal window, write, enter goal, um, enter new goal, edit goals. Let me see if it shows up. Haha. Hey, Deb, remember earlier we were talking about the goal constraints?
This is what you were trying to show me?
Yes. Why it didn't work before, I don't know. But here's something to think about. Just know that. So for those of you who aren't sure what I'm talking about, don't stress. You don't need to know this right now. But Deb, since I've got it, this is where you could check or uncheck, right? What you're allowed to do. So you may be. So go back to. Remember we talked about TautCon for demorganization, for the demorganization of a set of sentences, or sorry, for the demorganization of a sentence. And suppose that, you don't have may use TautCon checked off. That's because the exercise set is saying, I don't want you to use TautCon. So you could use it, and you would be logically correct in using it, but Fitch would say, no, you're not allowed. You'd get like an X at the end of in the goal window.
Oh, unless you click in this little bar, this window here?
Yeah, depending on which TautCon you're using. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So for those of you who said, what the heck are Mia and Deb talking about? Just pretend like that didn't happen. All right, so let's go.
Can you tell me one more time how you got there?
Oh.
It's under...
So edit goal constraints under goal.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, thanks.
Sure. All right, so, okay, now, we know that our argument is valid. We've proven the conclusion one way. Now let's prove it another way. So here's a strategy for you. When you see the premises involve one or more disjunctions, you can set up as your strategy disjunction elimination, where the goal of each of your subproofs is the goal or the conclusion of the argument. So I'm on line 8. So what I do, and by the way, proofs are going to get pretty long at times. So it's not a bad idea for you to think about setting up a structure. You can do the same when you're working pencil paper, right? But set up a structure and then say, okay, I have set up disjunction elimination. So take a look at what you're seeing on Fitch, and now cast your eyeballs over to the disjunction elimination rule, right? You've got some sentence L or R, and what you want for that is some sentence R. And I said some sentence because I'm thinking about, you've got some sentence P or Q, assume P derives some sentence S, assume Q derives some sentence S. You can say, therefore, whether I have P or I have Q, I've just shown I have S, right? In either case, I have S. Now we can introduce our contradiction. Now here's something that might feel weird, might feel like you're cheating, it might feel counterintuitive. From a contradiction, anything follows. From 4 to 5, we have what's known as the elimination of the contradiction. Now, we need to talk about what it means to say from a contradiction, anything follows. But for right now, because you're trying to assemble a number of ideas and developing a set of skills, for right now, just know that, please bring your eyeballs over to your rule sheet. Know that when you've generated a contradiction, so contradiction elimination, or take a look at your negation intro, there are two moves possible after you've generated a contradiction. You either assert the sentence you want. In this case, we want R. Or if you're in a negation intro subproof, remember we just worked this, you get out of the subproof and you say the assumption that generated the contradiction is therefore not the case. So from one side of the disjunction, we have our conclusion. Now we assume the other side of the disjunction, and we're reiterating the assumption at line 6. Why are we reiterating it? Well, we never remain within an assumption, right? So there are a couple of reasons why you would use the reit rule or reiteration. One is if the sentence you want is an assumptive proof sentence, you need to say, well, if I'm saying I have it, I'm saying I have it. You've got to reiterate that sentence in order to make a move in that subproof and then get out of the subproof. Another reason why you might reiterate a sentence is just for your own thinking. If you're in a very long sequence, right? You might say, I'm going to reiterate the sentence because it was asserted way up above, and I want to get it closer to I want to get it out of my peripheral vision and get it right into view. Now, is it fair to say that I've just demonstrated whether I have candy in my left hand or my right hand? It must be in my right hand. Say, yes, I did. What's the rule for line 4? Yeah, thank you for that. What's the rule for line 4?
Contradiction introduction.
You got it. Beautiful. Good for you. Ta-da. So notice here's one of the things, in fact, Deb and I were just talking about this earlier. Here's one of the things that I really appreciate about doing work in logic. I mentioned to you guys that, I was never any good at this. And it was really, really hard for me for a number of reasons. And I even today, I always feel like if nobody wants to be in my head, it's a convoluted mess, right? So one of the things that logic does for me is it gives me a very structured way of thinking, whether I'm in a truth table or I'm in, Fitch or I'm in Tursky's world, right? It gives me a very structured way of thinking. And there's a sense in which that's very calming for me, right? So what you've got here is an orderly and meticulous in its microscopic way of proceeding a set of inferences, right? So the cool thing too here is, let me now bring these guys side by side, right? We've derived the conclusion in two ways, right? Notice that the left side, where we have the nested subproof, is a little bit more complicated and longer, takes longer, that you have more steps, right? But it's no less correct than the right side, right? A logician might say that the right side is more elegant, but who cares? You got there legally in both cases, right? So one of the really cool things about this is that we're being told that we've got to be painstaking in accounting for each move that we make, both in terms of the way that we cite and the way that we justify.
I have a question for the left-hand side proof.
Mm-hmm.
After you make your contradiction intro statement, you don't have to say what you're proving or anything?
So you did say what you're proving, but what I take you to mean, Deb, is this, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to have the following conversation. What I take you to be saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that since R is the goal, shouldn't it be the case that after line 5 we assert R, and after line 8 we assert R?
Right. We don't need that?
You do not need it, and let me talk to you a little bit about our backward working to make some sense of this. First, let's do what you've proposed. Is it fair to say that lines 1, 4 to 6, 7 to 10, by disjunction elimination, right, have gotten us line, did I say 7 to 10? Sorry, 4 to 6, 7 to 9 have gotten us 10. Check the step. Yep, that's correct. And now, isn't it the case that 3 and 9 are contradictories? They sure are. Check the step. And isn't it the case, let me make the font a little smaller. Oh dear, sorry guys, hold on.
What page is the thingy that you're looking at on the textbook again?
Good question, Louis. Hold on just 1 second.
No worries.
Oh, I see what I did. All right. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Sorry, we got the X because I forgot to. Do you notice that there's a red X here, and that's because we haven't chosen the rule. Okay, so Deb, we're getting there. Hold tight. All right, now. Okay, so Deb, you can do this, right? Does it take longer? Yes, but certainly you can do this.
Found it.
Oh, I was going to say, I was going to table this proof for just a second to get you to the page, but you did get it, Louis? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What page are you on then?
No, that's fine.
What page are you on?
Wait, I think I'm on page 573.
Oh, you're looking for the rule sheet, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do that, but don't forget, guys, that you can find this basically shorthand rule sheet under our class resources folder.
Oh, yeah. I was like, it's not as small as the one. Okay, I'll find that.
Okay, so Deb, here's what you did. This is your thinking is terrific here. What you did, Deb, was you said, isn't it the case that since we want R, the result of each of my disjunction elimination subproofs should be R, right? So P or Q, assume P, derive the sentence that I want, right?
Correct.
Okay. But now let's do this. When I think about setting up my structuring subproof, I've set up negation intro, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it fair to say, guys, that when you set up your structuring subproof, the conclusion of the structuring subproof is now your conclusion? Such that, bear with me, such that line 5 and line 7 are the goals for this conclusion? Great question, Deb.
Do you counterexample then?
I'm gonna check your language just a little bit. It's the contradiction symbol. It's a contradiction.
Okay.
I mean, great question, but do you see? So you've given us an opportunity to highlight the fact that we are working backward from line 8 as our goal, not our ultimate goal, but the goal of this subproof.
Yeah, to line up with the rule. I understand.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. Nice, really nice. Okay, what are our thoughts so far?